Good morning. Good morning. Voicemail, hurting or helping your business. First of all, how many people in here have voicemail? How many people in here have a typewriter, a functioning typewriter? There's a reason for that. The typewriter is gone. The computer replaced the typewriter. Voicemail came about in the 1980s. Prior to that, we had an answering machine, tape-driven, subject to all sorts of mistakes and malfunctions. But it was brought about by several things that were occurring in our industry. It was designed to allow the completion of a call without both parties being present. Prior to that, you called somebody who wasn't there, you left a message. He might or might not get back to you. Voicemail originally allowed the completion of a call without both parties being present. You could call and leave some information with the guy. He could get it, respond or not respond. But anyway, he got his message. It eliminated two of the biggest problems, busy and no answer. When you call someone's office and you get busy, it's frustrating. You hang up, call again. If there's no answer,
call somebody else.
You call somebody else, exactly. So, it also allowed callers to bypass the dreaded gatekeepers and the secretaries, whose question was, may I tell him what it's about? If you tell her, she's going to say, she could say no, but she couldn't say yes. And her job was to keep you away from the guy. Another advantage that was brought about by the injection of voicemail into our society was the message was in the caller's voice. If a guy left a message, a customer or a client or a prospect, you got the inflections in the voice, things you can pick up on. It was not a written message that may or may not be accurate, so it gave us that advantage. A lot of times, clients such as attorneys, CPAs, clergy, the messages were confidential. They wanted them to be confidential. If they came through a secretary or a gatekeeper, they weren't. So the caller was reluctant to leave that information with somebody other than the person that they were calling. Additionally, the business was available after hours. Now you could have a message, you could have a message box, a message machine that had tape on it that was available after hours, but it was hard to retrieve information from it. But this left the information for the customer, and you could call in and retrieve it remotely, although it was somewhat cumbersome. So that grew. When voicemail first became a possibility, it grew. And I was involved in the inception of this. I got into the telephone industry in 1971 when it first became legal to own your own equipment. And it involved three areas of our telecommunications: hardware, telephones, long distance, and then the local service. So when voicemail became an issue, it was just before we had access to long distance, but it had grown to the point where people now used voicemail to hide behind. How many times have you called someone and you're leaving a message? He says, "Oh, I'm here." He's screening your call. So we hide behind that. So with voicemail as it developed, we ended up playing telephone tag. I call you and leave you a message. I say, "Get back to me." You get back to me. I'm not available. And the phrase phone tag was developed. So that wasn't good. So voicemail was used more to avoid answering communications as it was originally designed to complete it. So as a result, the usage has dropped. There are less messages left, according to statistics that we're able to get, and even more of them are not retrieved. How many times have you called someone we now, by the way, caller ID makes all this come to pass. You've got caller ID, you see someone called you, you've got a voicemail, you return the call. The message was on your voicemail. You may not have needed to return the call at all. It may have just been an informational message. But people have a tendency now to not retrieve their voicemails. So it has grown to the point that many companies are doing away with it. Another disadvantage of our voicemail system is that if you've got a cell phone and it's there, you can retrieve it. If your voicemail system is part of your telephone system in your office, Retrieval is possible, but cumbersome. You've got to call in, wait till it answers, hit a tone, dial a code, go through a series of activations with your dial pad, unless you dial incorrectly, which I have a tendency to do. It becomes cumbersome to retrieve that message. What effect does this have on us and our businesses? When someone calls your business and they get busy or no answer or get voicemail, it sends the wrong signal to our customers. It tells them that they're not enough of a priority for us to assign a live person to answer their call, because the call may be important, it may be service oriented. So what we end up doing is we end up spending our valuable time, because time is money. I think Benjamin Franklin said that one time. We spend more time playing phone tag and retrieving our messages and trying to find somebody and responding to dead ends, by the way, calling somebody that you really couldn't help at all to begin with, instead of doing what we're there to do, and that's make a living and make our business grow. They tell us that up to 80% of callers, when they call in and they don't get a live message, they get voicemail, they hang up. That's up to 80%. Now, what that's prompted many companies to do, and the most notable is Coca-Cola, globally, has totally eliminated voicemail from their telecommunications infrastructure. A lot of other companies are following suit. Why would they do that? Because they realized proactively, hopefully and not reactively, proactively, that they weren't providing the best level of customer service to their people. And then they've eliminated it. So what is the solution? Now this gets to your question. We have the answer. Office Divvy has the answer. There is no good human experience to be had when a call is not answered live, period, because it can involve poor customer service, and it's not product oriented or price oriented, but the poor customer service is the main reason that most companies change vendors. As far back as in 1960s and 70s, when I was an associate member of a group called the Purchasing Managers Association, because I was in telecom and I called on them as part of my career. Back then, they had a statistic that said 65% of all companies change vendors, not because of poor product, not because of a bad price, but because of poor customer service. So when we don't answer that phone, we're sending a strong signal to our customers that we don't care enough about them to provide them with the proper service. Now, Office Divvy's high-touch call desk is the answer. Now, there are many people in here who utilize that, so I'm preaching to the choir when I talked about that. At our call desk, calls are answered live, and they're connected. Messages are delivered, and they're sent by our highly trained customer-centric team, some of whom you see here, and they're very efficient and they're very good. The emphasis at Office Divvy is on servicing the customer. That's the primary emphasis, not taking a message. I'll take a number call back, please, whatever it is. The emphasis is on servicing the customer, not just answering the call. Most people, when they call Office Divvy on behalf of one of our clients, and some of you here that are members can attest it, they do not know they're talking to Office Divvy. They think they're talking to your business. We answer the phone for 90 companies in multiple states, over 100,000 calls annually. That's about 12,000 a month. Now that takes some doing. So what Office Divvy's put together under Kai and Lisa is a remarkable concept of where they can provide a virtual office space and a virtual office concept along with a high-tech answering. And that's what got me involved. My career before I came to Palm Coast was in selling this concept, but it had nothing to do with what Kai's doing, what Office Divvy's doing. But the concept of the telephone and how we can take that to transform what we're doing in business. By answering those calls, we do many things. The tasks include, and the folks are good at that, CRM entries, inbound sales. We can make appointments, schedule time for the callers, and we can do scheduling, and also provide a certain level of customer service depending upon how you've empowered us to act on your behalf. If you have a certain rate structure that you want out there that's not involved, that doesn't involve a visit, our people can provide that. I mentioned inbound sales. We've got several companies for whom we answer the phone. They are doing business on the internet. We take orders for them, sometimes several $1,000s worth of orders a month, and they never see it. And that's remarkable. Additionally, we provide complete analytics on call. You see the kind of analytics we get up here, and then you've all got a copy of this here. This is analytics of another sort, but we can provide analytics on how many calls came in, how many calls weren't answered, how many calls hung up, and actually what happened on that call if they left a message. Because if they leave a message for you, and this answers your question again, it's high-tech messaging. What it tells the businessman is after his a period of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or 6 months, whatever it is, you can get a complete view of what's going on with your business. Are there things you're not doing regarding the telephone? So, and if someone leaves a message, how many times has someone said, "Well, I called you 5 times last week and nobody answered"? Are they supposed to call back? Well, we can say, no, I'm afraid you called twice, and we did call back. It's all down. So we've got analytics to prove that. Our message to you folks: just keep calm. We'll answer the phone.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.